Mr. Whiskers was no ordinary cat. He was a master of mischief, always finding ways to sneak into trouble and snacks. His favorite pastime was plotting how to steal food from the kitchen counter, especially when his owner, Mrs. Jenkins, was baking. One sunny afternoon, Mrs. Jenkins decided to bake a chocolate cake. The smell of chocolate filled the house, and Mr. Whiskers' nose twitched with excitement. He watched from his perch on the couch as Mrs. Jenkins mixed the batter, poured it into the pan, and placed it in the oven. "That cake will be mine," Mr. Whiskers thought, licking his whiskers. When the cake was done, Mrs. Jenkins left it on the counter to cool while she went to answer the phone. This was Mr. Whiskers' chance. He leapt onto the counter with the grace of a ninja and stared at the cake. It was huge, with thick chocolate frosting that looked like a dream. But there was one problem. The cake was too big for him to carry. So, Mr. Whiskers came up with a plan. He grabbed a spatula with his paw and started scooping frosting onto his face. Soon, he was covered in chocolate from his ears to his tail. Just as he was about to take a bite, Mrs. Jenkins walked back into the kitchen. She gasped when she saw Mr. Whiskers, his face smeared with frosting, sitting proudly on the counter. "Mr. Whiskers," she cried, "what have you done to my cake?" Mr. Whiskers blinked innocently, as if to say, "Who? Me?" Mrs. Jenkins couldn't help but laugh. She grabbed her phone and snapped a picture of the chocolate-covered cat. "You're lucky you're so cute," she said, shaking her head. In the end, Mr. Whiskers didn't get his cake, but he did get a bath, which he hated even more than missing out on dessert. From that day on, Mrs. Jenkins made sure to keep her cakes out of reach. But Mr. Whiskers was already plotting his next great caper.